I did as you asked, Detective. I closed the cafe and kicked everyone out. Now what's this all about? Kazuma and his friend here would like to talk to all of you. I have you here for one reason and one reason alone. I'm sure you all remember the murder that took place here 6 years ago. The victim was Kazuo Oda, the manager of this cafe at the time. One of the employees, Yuichi Akechi, was arrested for his murder. But did Akechi really kill Oda? I'd like to ask each of you to think back on that day. Do any of you have any evidence, any truly conclusive evidence, that Akechi was actually the one who killed Oda? I've been struggling with one question since the day of that murder. Could Akechi actually be innocent? But before I could find out for sure, an article of mine indicating Akechi as the murderer was published. But thanks to Kazuma here, we finally arrived at the truth of what happened 6 years ago. But if Akechi is innocent, that means someone else is guilty. Exactly. But what do you base all this on, Kazuma? Sawako Usami was the one who saw Akechi and Oda at the fight at the day of the murder. Isn't that right?
That's right. But I left in the middle of it.
In other words, she didn't actually see Akechi kill Oda. Exactly. And nobody else but Usami saw Oda and Akechi fight. So we can't conclude Yuichi Akechi killed Oda. And that means the charges against him could be wrong. Sorry, but that doesn't hold water. What? Akechi's prints were on the weapon used to kill Oda. That's solid evidence to prove Akechi did it. Is that all you have to say?
None at all.
Huh? What do you mean? This was your case. You ought to know Akechi's fingerprints on the murder weapon alone weren't enough to convict him. I don't follow you. Spell it out for us, will you? The ashtray used as a murder weapon hadn't been washed because it was supposed to have been thrown out. It had prints on it from people other than Akechi, so Akechi's prints on it alone don't prove his guilt.
Detective, is that true?
Yes, it's just as he says.
So you mean it might not have been my brother?
Yeah.
But that's still not enough to prove somebody else did it. Somebody witnessed Akechi fleeing the scene. That's another piece of solid evidence. Think about it. Why wouldn't you think the person seen running away from the scene is the criminal? No point in running away if you didn't do anything, right? What do you have to say about that? Kazuma, do you have any information to refute the witness statements about Akechi? Let's see. Kinoshita, you saw Akechi fleeing the scene, right? Yes, I did. Are you sure? I'm not lying. I'm sure I saw him. But you didn't see the face of the person fleeing the scene. You said that, right? That's right. I only saw his back. So then it's possible you saw somebody else. Is that all you got? The police wouldn't have arrested Akechi on just any old fake evidence, you know? There was also something that proved the person Kinoshita saw was, in fact, Akechi. And what was that? The man Kinoshita saw leaving the scene of the crime was wearing a Cafe Alps waiter's uniform. The only waiters employed by Cafe Alps at the time were Kinoshita, Asai, Imagawa, and Akechi. The security tapes show Kinoshita and Asai in the customer area during the time of the murder. And we confirmed Imagawa was at home then. Therefore, by process of elimination, the only waiter Kinoshita could have seen was Akechi. Kazuma, is that true? No. It's absolutely possible that the person Kinoshita saw was not Akechi. I have a statement here to prove it. Well then, why don't you share this statement with us? There was actually another crime committed at this cafe on the day of the murder 6 years ago.
Another crime? That's the first I've heard of it.
Imagawa's uniform disappeared from his locker in the Cafe Alps locker room on that day. Imagawa's uniform? Yes! my uniform disappeared from the locker I put it in. Since you weren't present on the day of the murder, when did you notice it was missing? The day after Ona-san was murdered. I came to work. The police were investigating, so I couldn't go in. But once the police left, I looked in my locker and saw that my uniform was gone. Come on. So it was taken as evidence by the police. I'm sure there was plenty missing from the crime scene. You're wrong. Someone was definitely harassing me. Everyone teased me. Asai, why don't you tell them you took my uniform? You took everything else. Uniform must have been you, too. You going to cry? Harassment or evidence, it doesn't have anything to do with Akechi or this case. No, Imagawa's uniform is the key to this case. Huh? What do you mean? I'll show you right now. Okay. Look at the list of evidence I borrowed from you. There's no waiter's uniform on it. This here? You're right. I don't see any waiter's uniform listed. In other words, the uniform disappeared before the police showed up. If the police didn't confiscate it, who could have taken it? It was Asai, right? No, not Asai. It looks like Asai really did steal things from you, but he wasn't really trying to harass you. He just wanted money. Your wallet and CDs make sense, but your uniform wouldn't have been worth anything. Well then, who did it?
Oh, you mean the murderer took it?
Exactly. The criminal wanted to make it look like somebody else committed the crime, so they stole the waiter's uniform and changed into it. Then, as soon as somebody came by, they hid their face and ran out the back exit. Is that true?
It is.
So you're saying the person who stole Imagawa's uniform and fled the scene is the real criminal? That's right. And who might that be?